Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar, Unleashing the Power of Safety in Robotics and Automation. My name is Eric Trower, and I'm a member of the marketing team at SICK. SICK is the leading provider of sensor solutions. Today, we welcome Ted Rozier, Director of Digital Advanced Technology and Robotics for Festo Didactic Solution North America, and host Brian Sellers, Industry Marketing Manager, SICK. Brian and Ted are coming to us live from Automate in Detroit this morning to discuss such topics as how to create a safe and reliable working environment between humans and automation, trends in the current robotic era, and new technology and education methods that assist manufacturers in hiring the correct talent in these environments. In order to optimize your view of today's presentation, I'd ask that you please locate the layout button in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Click on Grid Layout, then Hide Participants Without Video. This will provide you with a full view of our presenters. If you have any questions you'd like to have answered by one of our presenters, please type them in the chat or Q&A section in your WebEx control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll respond following today's presentation. I'd also like to mention that a recording of this webinar will be emailed to everyone who registered. With that said, I'm going to pass the ball to our speakers, Ted and Brian. Ted, Brian, are you there? Ah, there we go. Take it away,
good morning.
gentlemen.
We good? We live? Awesome. Good morning, everybody. We are coming to you live from Automate here in Detroit, beautiful Detroit. I am with the incomparable Ted Rozier of Festo Didactic Tech. How are you this morning?
Oh, doing great, Brian. Doing great.
Good. I'll tell you, if you have never met Ted, you need to, because he is one of the smartest, nicest, most genuine people you will ever meet. And all of you are in for a treat today. We are going to talk to you about some of the things that we've seen here at the show. We've got some other things that we're going to talk about. I'm going to let Ted do most of the talking. I am here as just a facilitator. But yeah, so without further ado, we'll get going. Ted, why don't we get going? I think one of the things we want to talk about is, since we're at this show, what are some of the things that that you have kind of seen, and some of the things that's kind of stood out? I'm going to hand this to you.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for the introduction, Brian. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad you stopped, because my head was getting so big, and the bay doors. I got to get out of this place.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay. No, glad to do it.
No, but from a technology standpoint, I mean, Automate 2023 has just been fantastic. And I think that if we were to kind of look at the tone of things when it comes to robotics system integration, we're seeing that automation is getting a lot easier. So what that means in the end, if you just think about plug and produce, so end of arm tooling, there's a lot of things that are easier now, which is allowing the end user to do some of this integration, which then allows for the system integrators to spend more time on the heavy lifting. So that kind of takes us down the path of artificial intelligence. You go back to a month ago, I was in Germany at the Hanover Fair, and that was a huge topic. AI, you come right into Automate 2023. That's been a very lively discussion. Artificial intelligence, where are we when we look at the what we kind of call the Industry 4.0 or digital transformation maturity index? Where do we actually stand in implementing AI within the manufacturing process? So exciting times, but again, it goes back to automation becoming easier, which then allows the system integrators to start handling the heavier lifting things when it comes to software.
Okay. So I know that one thing that we really have kind of touched base on when you're talking about AI, that's very popular now with the chat GPTs and everything like that. I've heard a lot of people say, well, what's the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning? So I think you've got a really good, simple way to kind of understand that. I'm looking forward to hearing this.
Yeah. Yesterday, I had a very nice opportunity to talk about artificial intelligence, and that was actually a question that came up.
Okay.
And basically, when we look at the collection of information. We know that data is the new oil.
Mm.
Okay, but when it comes to machine learning, that's not new. We've been doing that for many years. But when you start looking at capturing information, the convergence of data, what happens is you get into supervised learning
Mhm.
and then unsupervised.
Mm.
And so supervised learning would be more of the machine learning side of things. That's data that's being captured that actually has an ID. So I know what that data, where it's coming from,
Mhm.
and then I can build algorithms to do something with that information. Once that model is trained, then it gets kicked into unsupervised information.
Mm.
That's when the algorithm starts to take over and starts to do some things on the autonomous side. In the end, you want an autonomous response from your equipment. That's like
The Holy Grail.
that's the holy
Yeah, that's the Holy Grail. That's what we're trying to get.
absolutely.
Okay, all right. That's a great way to describe that. So that no, that's perfect. That's perfect. So let's talk about coming back to the AI applications. I'm hearing no, it's fine. I'm hearing a lot of things like I think we talked about condition monitoring versus image processing, like an overall systems approach. You're talking about some of the things. So how do all these and again with this show, you can't swing a cat and not hit a robot at this show. Robots are everywhere. You've got them in your booth. We've got them in our booth. They're in all booths. How do these types of robots, like industrial, collaborative, mobile, how do they play a role in the overall systems approach?
Very good question. When we think about the system approach, and then I'm going to answer this from the didactic standpoint. And when I say didactic, from an educational side of things, it's very important that at Festo Didactic that we demystify everything,
Mhm.
that we create a roadmap. Um, so the system approach basically, can a conveyor system speak to a robot?
Mm.
Does the robot have the ability to speak to a machine tool?
Mm.
Does your camera vision have the ability to speak to the PLC, etc.? In the end, everyone needs to be singing from the same sheet music, a controlled architecture from the top to the bottom,
Ah,
or I guess a better way of saying it, from sensor to the edge.
right.
You need communication.
Okay.
Anytime you break that up, what we find is it's a silo. So now we step back to industry 3.0, automation a la carte. And the goal now is that we're starting to integrate everything together, one control platform, everything being able to talk, which now allows us to open things up, which gets us to the point of artificial intelligence, etc.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's talk about that. So we're talking about, automation and how this kind of evolving. Again, collaborative automation seems to be one of the things that really dominates the conversation, it seems like. I mean, you're talking about like, what is the definition of collaborative automation?
Very good question, Brian. A lot of times we get caught up into the collaborative robots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there is a such thing, of course,
Right.
collaborative robots. As a matter of fact, let's step over to
Yeah.
a collaborative robot. So when it comes to collaborative robots, uh, that would be, of course, you have collaborative robot, you have industrial robots. Collaborative robot should be able to work very closely, interact with a human being. Um, but when it comes to collaborative robotics, we like to take that term and we kind of put a big X through collaborative robot, and we like to say collaborative automation.
Mm.
Collaborative automation basically means that it's not just the robot that should be able to work closely with a human being. It's the whole system.
Mm.
So that's where it gets us into a risk assessment scenario, because now how does the human being work with the system? So now I'm looking for the conveyor system, I'm looking for everything around the robot, making sure that it's collaborative, whether the human being can work with it. So instead of it just being a collaborative robot, we're going to look at the whole system, trip hazards, etc., making sure that no sharp edges, round edges, that a human being can work side by side. So again, a X through collaborative robot. collaborative automation talks to the system.
Agreed. Yeah. So if you're looking at you just kind of mentioned like no, this is fine. You're kind of mentioning risk assessment. I think you kind of defined it, like what all goes into it. And when you're talking about what you guys are doing, especially with SICK, with this safety awareness bundle, I know you and I have talked about that for a long time. We worked on it for a long time. Tell us about that. Tell us what this safety awareness bundle is that you and Festo are doing.
Yes. Good question, Brian. Festo and SICK have come together to design the 360-degree safety awareness package, or bundle. Okay.
Yeah.
And basically, it consists of 2 area scanners, that would reside on each side of the robotics training or cart. So one area scanner would handle 180 degrees. The other area scanner would handle 180 degrees, which of course gives you 360. But what this does is not only does the student learn how to set up the zones, but we have created curriculum content. The curriculum content takes them through a 6-step method of overall risk assessment. So that is going to allow the student to have a clear understanding as to risk mitigation. Again, going back to trip hazards, sharp end of arm tooling, what's your job role? All of these things are considered within the curriculum content, which really speaks volumes to their employability.
I think that's it. It's the employability of the student. It's getting them that knowledge that they need in order to be productive in the field and come to this field and help us in this field where we're having big labor gaps and where automation is not a nicety, it's a necessity. And we're seeing that. We hear it here. We, all throughout life, everyone on here has to deal with labor gaps, like in the simplest of definitions, in like a restaurant, and making sure that you got waiters and waitresses that are helping. But in this industry, to do this kind of work.
No, absolutely. And with the advanced technology that we're seeing, it's very important that in the education space that instructors have the content.
Yes.
To
What
teach.
is it? Content?
Content is king.
That's it. That's it.
Content is king.
Yes, I love that. I love that saying. Content is king, and you taught me that. So let's get back to, so we're talking about some of this, beyond the risk assessment. Now we're talking about Industry 4.0. We're talking about data. We're talking about data management and everything like that. And again, we've partnered with you guys. I think you have another partner in Siemens, and we kind of all work together. Let's talk about that partnership a little bit with the data management.
Well, that kind of goes back to where we started. We started off the artificial intelligence is king. That's where we're trying to get the Holy Grail. Okay, and so how do you get there? Information, the capturing of information. So there's a lot of talk right now when it comes to digitalization. What do I do with the data? Trying to figure out how to converge data. Once I capture the signals, can I parse that information? So that leads us to condition monitoring and image processing. So when you look at the information that we're capturing from SICK, so we go back to the area scanners. Not only does the robot know, or the system know, that a human being is within its presence, but how close is it? That's information that I can capture and make great decisions. In the end, when you look at the control architecture, that's what brings us all together.
Right.
So you have Festo as a system integrator. You have SICK, who does safety applications, vision applications, all connected together. You have Siemens, very strong communication architecture.
Yeah.
All of that being pulled together in one, from the shop floor to the top. That's where we start to gather all that data and we start to make great decisions. Our number one goal, we talked about AI, but let's just back it down, because employability means that we are starting to anticipate the red light versus chase the red light.
I love that. That's one of my other favorite sayings of yours, is you're chasing the red light. Tell me what that means. How do you define that?
So you go into any manufacturing plant, and for all the controls engineers out there, the maintenance guys, chasing the red light. A line goes down. The goal is what? Throughput. I'm trying to push manufacturing components out of my factory.
Right.
Every time there's a red light, that line stops,
Right.
and that puts pressure on the maintenance department.
Because no one's making money at that point. No one's making money.
Absolutely. So we always like to say that that when it comes to a problem or what happens when we're under pressure, we fall back on our training. Okay.
That's another one.
So under pressure, we fall back on our training. So that's the reason why with our partnership between SICK, Festo, Siemens, there's curriculum that aligns with the trainers that allows that student. That's why we are so confident that when that student gets a job after they've been through our program and use the content, they're going to think mechanical, electrical, IO. They go through HMI, MES, manufacturing execution system, risk assessment through the whole thing. That's the structure of the content. So we're very confident that if as a student is learning that system approach, that they're going to start to close the skills gap. And then the goal in the end, can we get students to be a gold collar workers versus blue collar?
Oh, what now? This is a new one.
Gold collar workers versus blue collar.
Go. Okay, tell me, what does that mean? What does that mean?
When we think about blue collar,
Okay.
It's attached to the terminology is attached to dull, dirty, dangerous.
Yes.
And parents, they start to drive their students out of the manufacturing, out of these jobs, because we know where to go to be a lawyer. We know where to go to be a doctor. But what about a doctor of manufacturing? The doctor of manufacturing, he walks into a manufacturing environment, and he can look at a robotic system, a complete system, and know exactly what's wrong with it. Why? Because of his training.
He falls back on his training. Just like you are dropping bombs today. Gold collar versus blue collar. I love it. Absolutely love it. But at the end of the day, we want these students to be ready. And for the employers, we want them to be confident that the employees that they're getting has this training to where they can keep their processes up and going. And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about?
That's what it's all about, Brian.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Well, I think it's obvious. You can see the passion that Ted has for education and training the workforce. That is infectious, and it has absolutely rubbed off on me. And so that's one of the several reasons why I'm glad I know Ted. That's one of the several reasons why I'm proud of this partnership. And we want excellence. We strive for excellence in the manufacturing space. And so this is what it's all about. And so we're gonna wrap up here in just a minute. I want to give everyone their time back this morning, but I want everyone to just reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you with the content, this very well designed content, with the actual collateral here that we're working with, the real deal, the actual hands-on equipment. And yeah, let's talk. Let's talk. Let's figure out what you need as an educator, and then as an employer, demand this kind of education. The people you want to hire are the people you want to retire one day. Make sure that they know what they're doing in that place, and that they're coming from a program where that training is it permeates throughout the entire education, I think. So
No, absolutely, Brian. I think that the only thing we didn't touch on, we talked about the education space. So we're talking about high schools, community colleges, universities, and having the right equipment and content. But we also incumbent workers, individuals that need upskilling.
Ooh, okay.
So
okay.
they
yeah.
also have the ability to go back to any of the community colleges that have these types of systems and get their upskilling that way. So
that is a good point. I did not even consider that. But yeah, it's the continuous education part of it. And you're actually, we're seeing that where, a lot of companies are actually offering apprenticeships that, turn their, call it maybe frontline workers into a more skilled worker that keeps the processes going. And, the tech schools, they offer that. A lot of times they're feeder programs into that. So no, it's great. And again, it is all about educating the workforce. And to your point, dull, dirty, dark, and dangerous, that's what a robot should be doing, but that's not a manufacturing facility. You look through this thing and we're not, we're not coal mining. This is I mean, this is bright, this is sexy, this is automated, this is techie, this is cool. I mean, and so shows like this really just give a great opportunity for everyone to learn what manufacturing is all about. And companies like Festo, they can really train these workers without to when they get into these spots, they know what they're doing. I love it. I love it. Ted, do you have any final words for us, my friend?
No
Before I
final
let you go
words
for the morning. You got some more presentations to do. We got some more folks to talk to. Anything else?
Nothing else. It's coffee time.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out to Ted or I. Again, on behalf of Ted Rozier with Festo Didactic, I'm Brian Sellers. Thanks for joining us this morning.